You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. I hope everybody had a good weekend and enjoyed the holiday. I have not yet gotten a chance to talk about Keita Bates-Diop being included in that Mikal Bridges trade. So on today's show, we're going to go through an in-depth scouting report on Bates-Diop, the type of player the New York Knicks are getting, and then I got to share my thoughts on Johnny Bryant leaving the New York Knicks to go join the Cleveland Cavaliers coaching staff. But this is the official trade details of Mikal Bridges finally being a New York Knick. The Knicks, they receive Bridges, Keita Bates-Diop, and a 2026 second-round pick with Bojan Bogdanovic, Shake Milton in a sign-and-trade, Mamadi Diakite, 4 unprotected first-round picks, a 2025 Milwaukee first-round pick, and a 2028 first-round pick swap. A lot to give up, but you get the best player in the trade, and the Nova Knicks, they are stronger than ever. If you're pumped up about Mikal Bridges being a New York Knick and the Knicks not being hard-capped at that first apron, I need you right now to smash that thumbs-up icon. Over the weekend, the Mikal Bridges trade was finalized. He is a New York Knick, but the Knicks are also acquiring the veteran swingman, Keita Bates-Diop, the 6'8" defensive small forward as well. We did not know that Bates-Diop would be a part of this trade when it went down, but he is now going to be wearing New York across his chest with the blue and orange uniforms as well. This is a little bit of a scouting report on him. A former second-round pick of the Minnesota Timberwolves back in 2018, comes from Ohio State. But what's interesting about this is when Tom Thibodeau was the head of basketball operations and the head coach for the T-Wolves, he made the selection of Bates-Diop in that second round. So Tibbs gets one of his guys in a throw-in to that Mikal Bridges trade. He's spent time with the Minnesota Timberwolves, Nuggets, Spurs, Suns, and Nets. He's bounced around a little bit. His best years were with the San Antonio Spurs. We'll take a look at some of those numbers. And he's appeared in 283 games with 67 starts, averaging 16.1 minutes per game. Look, Keita Bates-Diop is not some amazing player by any stretch of the imagination. He did sign a deal last year with the Phoenix Suns before being included in that trade that sent him to Brooklyn. But he is a player that I think provides a skill set that maybe the New York Knicks are a little bit low on. 6'8", 230 pounds, still an extremely young player, hasn't even reached 29 years old yet, been in the league for 6 years. So you're getting a guy that has legit wing size at 6'8", 230 pounds, a wingspan of almost 7'4". So maybe you're getting a guy that can come off the bench, supplement OG Anunoby a little bit on defense if he gets hurt, can be a guy that you throw on Pascal Siakam in an Indiana Pacers series if Hart and Anunoby go down. Not much of an offensive player, though, as you see the numbers on screen. Has never averaged more than 9.7 points per game in a year, but it was that 2022-2023 season that really made him an appealing prospect for Phoenix last year. We spent that with San Antonio, averaged 9.7 points per game on 50.8% from the field, 3.7 rebounds, 1.5 assists, almost a steal per night, and he shot 39.4% from threes, a career high for him, in 21.7 minutes per game in 67 ball games. You look at where he likes to operate on the floor. From 0 to 3 feet, that's where he gets most of his shots. He likes to operate in that dunker spot. Doesn't have much range, as we've talked about. On field goals, where he's from 0 to 3 feet from the basket, he knocks it down to 68%. 38% of his shots come from there, whereas 21% of his shots come from 3 to 10 feet, where he only knocks it down at 37%. 10 to 16 feet, doesn't really operate in that mid-range area, not much of a face-up type of guy. Only 5% of his shots come from there. And then even more so in the mid-range, as he doesn't operate there at either. 16 feet to that three-point line, only 2.3% of his shots there. And then almost 33% of his shots come from the three in his career, shooting 33% from there. So you get 38% around the basket and 33% from three. Dunks, layups, and threes are the name of the game for Bates-Diop. And you look at his career corner three-point numbers, 45% of his threes in his career come from the corner, and that's where he does the most of his damage, and he's most efficient, 34.5% on corner three. So he's going to be a guy that gets out and run in transition. If he has a way to go to the cup, he can throw it down. He's got good athleticism. We talked about 6'8", 7'4" wingspan. He can get up there as well, but he likes to run from corner to corner and then filling the lanes in the fast break. You look at some of his career catch and shoot three-point numbers. Remember, it was that 2022-2023 season with San Antonio where he had the best year of his career, and he actually shot 40.5% on catch and shoot threes that year, getting up 2 per night. So he is someone that has showed at least for one season that he could be an average three-point shooter. And if he could do that, if he could be a league average shooter with his defensive tools, his size, his athleticism, he does have a good basketball IQ as well. Good cutter, can help on defense, can defend multiple positions. That's why he was drafted out of Ohio State. People thought at 6'8", with almost a 7'4" wingspan, he'd be able to defend multiple positions. And that's how he's going to crack the rotation for the Knicks. Being able to defend, playing hard, high IQ, and hitting open shots. If he could do those things, he could be a backup power forward for this team to maybe spell Julius Randle or OG Anunoby if they get hurt or are tired or something along those lines. Welcome Keita to the Knicks, though. A player we did not know was going to be a part of that Mikal Bridges trade, but he was a throw-in to make the money work. And I think he might actually have a role on this ball club. Welcome him to the Garden. Type KBD, Keita Bates-Diop. Welcome to MSG. You're going to look now at the entire New York Knicks roster. This is what I would expect their starting five to be. Jalen Brunson at the 1, averaged 28.7 points per game last year. In my opinion, the best guard in the Eastern Conference. You got Mikal Bridges now at the 2. Gave you 20 points per game last year with OG Anunoby at the 3, Randle at the 4, Mitchell Robinson at the 5. And you got somewhat of a full bench now at this point with Miles McBride, Tyler Kolek, Dante DiVincenzo, Pacome Dadier, Josh Hart, McCullough Jr., Keita Bates-Diop, Jacob Toppin on that 2-way contract with Jericho Sims, and everybody's favorite player on the Knicks, Ariel Huck Porty, Mr. Irrelevant. So you now see the roster. Here are the financials of the roster. Shout out to Bobby Marks for this graphic. Their projected salary comes in at just about $172 million, right above that tax threshold. They have about $6 million below that first apron, so plenty of money there. And they're no longer hard capped at that first apron. They're hard capped at the second apron, which comes in about at $190 million. You still do have that taxpayer mid-level exception. You could offer a player a contract starting at $5.2 million per year. Could still add someone to the veteran minimum deal. You do own the bird rights to Precious Achiuwa, so you could bring him back. There are still some moves the New York Knicks team could make this offseason. And honestly, I just want to say hats off to the Knicks front office. Shout out to Leon Rose. Shout out to everybody on this team. Walt Barron. Shout out to Gerson Rosas. Shout out to everybody that did anything, as well as Brock Aller, that made it happen to where the Knicks could acquire Mikal Bridges, avoid the hard capping of the first apron, and still have them in a spot to add a couple of players this offseason. The cap gymnastics that this team went through was incredible. They signed and trade Shake Milton, who they add to this team a couple of months ago as the season was coming to a close, always thinking ahead and always finding a way to get it done. Major shout out to the Knicks front office. Let's close the show talking about a former New York Knicks associate head coach, Johnny Bryant. He is officially leaving for the Cleveland Cavaliers, not to be their head coach, but to be their associate head coach, which he was with the New York Knicks. And we've told you for a couple of months now that you should keep your eyes on Johnny Bryant going to the Cavaliers. One, because there's probably more upward mobility and he can upgrade in his job status, and that job's more likely to open up down the road. But most importantly, he is best friends with Donovan Mitchell. And I sat here on this show, in this studio, 3 weeks ago, and I told you, I know Johnny Bryant is out of the running to be the head coach for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but it was always a possibility that he could be a Cavs top assistant. As you could see, that's me. Shout out to the peak. You see it on the screen. Could he be a Cavs top assistant? Nobody was talking about it, but we were talking about it on this show 3 weeks ago. And I tried to warn you. Everyone told me, Marshall, we hired Mo Cheeks to add to the staff. Bryant's not leaving. I told you, you know what? I think you should perk your ears up a little bit higher and try to think a little bit more deeper into this situation. There was no way the Knicks were going to add Mo Cheeks if they didn't think that Johnny Bryant had a chance to leaving. I don't think it signaled he was leaving, but you just follow the trail and it'll lead you to the destination more times than not. Bryant is out. Shout out to him and everything he's done. But Mo Cheeks joins a staff that is loaded with names. Mo Cheeks, Daniel Brady, Rick Brunson, Darren Erman, Andy Greer, Othello Harrington. Shout out to Dice. You got 7 total coaches. You can only have 3 on the bench. That is what ultimately led me to believe that Johnny Bryant was out. That's why you subscribed, though, baby. We told you 3 weeks ago that Johnny Bryant was going to leave. Everyone told me, Marshall, that would never happen. Shout out to everybody that listened to the real one, because you are the real one. But for real, subscribe, turn the notifications on. Free, informative, entertaining updates every day on your New York Knicks. And if you haven't yet, please give me a follow on Twitter or Instagram or both. That'd be cool. @MarshallGreen_. Let's go, Knicks.